Hello, socialites. Welcome back to Survivor Social, the Survivor podcast, where we discuss Survivor with a focus on the social elements of the game. My name is Tegwyth. I'm back here with my incredible co-host, Cara. How are you, Cara?
I'm good. I'm a little sad about this episode. It's not looking good for my predictions now, but you know what? It's fine. We'll regroup. I'm excited.
You were killing it the whole season. I feel like you've still got it in the bag. But we do have an amazing guest with us back again, Survivor Social again 2.0. We have Jake Kane from season 45 of Survivor. Jake, how are you?
I'm doing great. We needed the auction this week. I'm excited to talk about the auction. We really needed the auction this week. Thank you, auction.
Thank you, auction. The auction is so beautiful because it's just truly a moment of joy, and that's why fans love the auction. It is just like pure, unadulterated happiness on our screens, and I definitely needed that this week, and I loved what we got, and I cannot wait to get into the episode. But before we get into the episode, just make sure if you're watching to like and subscribe to Survivor Now on YouTube and Spotify, and as a reminder, we are live. A couple different platforms. So we have questions that have been sent in, but if you have questions throughout the podcast, we love talking to you guys. We love interacting with you guys. Make sure to post a comment and we will get to most of the questions at the end of the night. But then we also love just chatting with you throughout the episode. But let's dig in to the episode. I feel like this was a really great episode for many reasons, but I want to start off with what we first basically saw, which was Rachel back at camp by herself, wondering who was going to go out because she just used the safety without power. I know that we talked about this a little bit last week, but we didn't get Jake's opinion. Jake, how did you feel about that move, the safety without power? Were you a fan? Were you not a fan?
Like the twist or like what Rachel did?
Let's just say, let's start with the twist.
Yeah, I mean the twist, like if the split didn't happen how it did, it's not that bad. You know what I mean? Like if it's a mix up, it's not like 5 to 1. Like
yeah.
I feel like people are upset about the twist, and it's like, yeah, I think it's less about the twist for me and more of like, oh, that's kind of like a not entertaining draw. But honestly, I thought it was a lot of fun to see the live tribal. Have we had a live tribal this season? I don't think so, right?
Not a true one, I don't think.
Yeah, that was live. Live, and that was fun to watch.
It was really fun to watch, and I liked seeing the repercussions because we talked a little bit about this. I think we had a pre-show. I was on the pre-show this week, and we talked a little about what we thought was going to happen. Was Saul going to tell Rachel? And yes, Saul told Rachel. Jake, I'll go back to you. That's a no-brainer, right? If you're Saul, you're definitely going to tell Rachel.
Why wouldn't you? Why wouldn't you? Like, it was actually funny. I was voting on Tuesday, as more people should have, but. When I was leaving voting, I was talking to someone from my hometown, and they're like, "Oh, I love the show." And they're like, who do you like this season?" They're like, "I love Saul, but he should have told Rachel." I'm like, he's gonna tell Rachel. Like, there's no way you don't tell Rachel, right? Like, why wouldn't you? There's no reason to not. Number one, just making sure Rachel stays is great inherently for Saul, but also it's like, let's have him bridge the gap between I forget what the original red and yellow original tribes, right? And he's doing that. And I'm a big Saul fan. And it was a great episode for Saul.
Yeah, absolutely. And Cara, I'll ask you, do you think there's a world in which Rachel is going to tell people that it was Saul who sent her this advantage?
I don't know. I don't know how it would really be like beneficial unless like she's trying to go against him. I don't know. I don't really see like a reason to tell people.
I mean, I totally agree. I don't think it's a benefit for her now. I feel like this could be something that she could use later on in the game, maybe. And especially at Final Triple Council, you say, Saul wanted to keep me. He sent it and, I didn't tell anybody and I protected him. So I really think that is a good thing for her to kind of keep to herself for now. And you've got, I think Jake will be back. He's actually a magician, and he made himself disappear.
Sorry about that. I don't know what happened.
It's okay.
I heard everything though. I'm with you.
But yeah, I totally think that it just makes sense for this Saul Rachel alliance to come through. What I'm interested to see is if we're going to see Saul, who wanted to work with Andy, if that's going to happen with Andy, Rachel, Saul, and maybe even Genevieve. Jake, do you think we're going to see something like this?
Yeah, I think Andy's in a really interesting spot right now, and I think the Lava of Red Trap. I think those three between Genevieve, Saul, and Teeny are in a really good spot. I would be pretty surprised if one of them went home next week, right? Because it feels like the person who it feels like the people that Andy was really talking to was more Lavo than Tuku, right? Like, am I the only one who got that impression? No,
I definitely got that impression. I mean, he already was on the thing with Teeny. And he already had talked to Saul, and he already had talked to Genevieve. He has these close relationships, I think. Yeah,
I feel like Original Lava's in a great place to pull in Andy. Now they're kind of a 4, and why not go after the other solid Original 4 blue? I think that I would go after Tuku next, and I think that group. I want that group to stick together for a little while. I love that group. Those 3 Lavo, between Teeny and Andy as well, to include him. Between Teeny, Genevieve, Saul, and the 3 of them, Teeny, Genevieve, Saul. Love that group. I don't want to see any one of them go anywhere for a while. And I hope it doesn't happen. I don't think it will happen. At least for the next episode.
It's funny about Teeny. I feel like every time Teeny says she gets close to someone or her closest person always ends up going Rome, and I don't know how close she was at Rome, but she, I guess, kind of aligned with Rome, and then Sierra here, and then I feel like there was someone else I can't think of.
Keyshawn.
Yeah. It's interesting. Do you think that is because Teeny has, it's just the person that they're closest with? Or do you think Teeny's the kind of social player who is just somebody who gets close to people and just is really good at creating these social bonds? And so we see it being hard for Teeny, specifically to vote these people out because they have this really good connection, and that's just the kind of player Teeny is. Or do you think it just so happens that Teeny's closest people are going out?
Teeny's making the opposite connections.
I think Teeny's really good at social game.
Yeah, I agree. I think Teeny's social game is really interesting, and here's why. It's because they're never the target, right? They're never the target, but we've seen a couple instances of people Teeny wanted Sam gone tonight. Teeny was bigger on getting Sam out, and there's still a lot of people left. It's a lot of people to convince, but it feels like there's just one more thing needs to happen for Teeny to actually have a little more capital. Out of those 3 of those Lavo, I don't think Teeny has the most control out of them. I would probably guess Genevieve, but I feel like 1 or 2 things need to happen, and then Teeny is going to be in the driver's seat. There's just one little piece to the social game. Not that they don't have the capability to do, but there's just one piece that needs to fall into place, and I feel like they'll be running things for a little while.
Yeah, and I actually think it could be good for Teeny in the long run to not be in the center of it all and have it be so that they're never the target, but always in on the vote, except for the Keyshawn vote, right? But in on what's going on. And I just think it's a good omen for Teeny's game in the future. I am biased alert. Teeny's my winner pick. So I definitely want to see Teeny do well, but I just truly think that Teeny's social game, I think, is just very good, and they're able to use that kind of social capital without having to be in the driver's seat, but being involved in everything. It might not be the plan that they want, but it's not them, and it's not, the one that they really don't want, except for Keyshawn, obviously. But I thought this was a good episode for Teeny. I think it was a standout episode for some other people, but I thought it was a good episode for Teeny.
Yeah. And Sam did get a lot. Sam got 4 votes, so Teeny must have had some power there.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Well, it was better that being this. It was interesting because Rachel came up once. Genevieve wanted Rachel. I feel like in the lead up to actual tribal, it was between the 3 Gata other than Andy.
Yeah.
And it does seem maybe to kind of disprove what I was saying earlier, it wasn't Sierra versus Rachel, it was Sierra versus Sam. So
yeah, I agree. While we're speaking of Gada, I would like to talk about Andy. I mean, I am me. I would like to talk about Andy usually. This was another great episode for Andy. I'm sorry. Jake, if you don't know, I am an Andy stan. I have been since preseason.
I stand with you.
Amazing. I love that. And I just think, again, we're seeing the editors having fun with Andy, like with the she's all that of it all, which is so good. The slow motion glasses, the hair. I think that's going to go down as one of my favorite moments of Survivor ever.
So good.
It was.
It felt very Superman. It felt very like Clark Kent to Superman. Yes. Like that confessional of him being like, "Oh, hey guys," like what did he make, a Gossip Girl reference? I don't know what the reference was, but it really felt like, you know, I really loved Andy's storyline this season, and it's really interesting to see someone with zero capital. And you know, like the show does keep pointing out he's a little bit clumsy, like, you know, but it's he's going in the right direction. And it's really interesting and compelling to watch. And it's almost like it feels like he's getting a 0 vote finalist edit, but like not, I don't think he's going to be a 0 vote finalist, but I do think that it's like, that was his trajectory after, you know, that first immunity challenge, right? Like everyone was like, if he's there, would not shock me. But now it's you're really getting this edit of like, can Andy get out of this and potentially be successful as either winning the game or being a major force in the game? And that's such a, you know, because it's like you have, and it's like between like Ben, me, Owen, Karen, like, well, Karen's a little different story, but these stories that we've seen it a couple times, and it just feels like Andy's arc is taking that story and, hey, can he be successful where these other people in the past that we've seen failed? And I think that's a really interesting arc, and I really want to see Andy be successful. I would love to see an Andy win. You know, it would be such a great story. Oh my God.
It would be incredible. And I will say, I was actually thinking about Owen specifically this episode, because there was a moment when Andy was talking and there was this like triumphant music behind Andy. It was like, I don't remember what it was, but it definitely felt like a crescendo. And I immediately remembered, because a lot of people, you know, in my comments on TikToks or whatever, will talk about how they think that Andy's going to go far and be a 0 vote finalist and all that stuff. And I could still see that happening for Andy. But in that moment, I truly remembered Owen with the Charlie Brown music behind him. And Owen was my preseason winner pick. And I remember in that moment with the Charlie Brown, I think it was Charlie Brown music, or it was just like sad music or whatever. And I remember in that moment going, oh, there's no way Owen is winning this game, no matter how much I want that. It's not going to happen, because it was just it was a big moment. And I went, oh, that is an editor's choice. Whereas this time it wasn't the same exact situation, right? So it's not like a comparison, but we had this like crescendo kind of music. And I just thought, oh, okay, they want us to root for Andy, or at least like Andy in a way that I feel like usually winners, or somebody who might be a fallen angel situation, like going out at number 5 or something, would have. You know what I mean?
Yep.
Yeah. Like every episode we get an Andy scene. Like there's not an episode that goes by where we're not seeing at least a little bit of Andy. So like he's kind of giving main character, and I'm enjoying it.
There's no more compelling story this season than what was like, okay, like the pre-merge was the story of Rome, but going through that, it's like, we just finished chapter 1, Andy. I think we're moving into chapter 2, and I really hope there's a chapter 3. You know what I mean? Yeah.
I've been saying this season, I want another woman to win, because I would like there to be 3 women to win in a row. My exception to that would be Andy. Because I don't know if you know this, the internet, you were baby girl of season 45. Andy is baby girl of season 47. So we've got some Jake and Andy comparisons as well.
I like it. You know, I'm rooting for Andy, and like you. It would be fun to have Andy a part of the 0 vote finalist club, but I don't want him there. You know, please don't. Like do what I was not capable of doing. You know, gain the capital, earn yourself a spot, and you know what? I hope you win, but if you don't, like, take the respect and being voted out.
Yeah.
You know? And that sounded bad, but like I really mean that as like he's awesome.
Yeah.
And he's doing great. I'm happy for him.
And I do want to add, for somebody who was so clumsy, he came in second in the challenge today.
Yeah.
Which is not an easy challenge. He held his own.
And he like pulled it back for a little bit. That was
It's always funny because like the conversation, Andy's clumsy, Andy's sloppy. Look at that dude's arms. Like are we just gonna go blind to like those guns that he's packing? Like, come on now. You know, like we've just overlooked it. It's like, oh yeah, you see him saw on the pole. It looks but this guy's got some muscles. Like he's not a slouch, you know?
Yeah.
And okay, this might be a conspiracy theory, but I'm gonna do it. Has this all been an act? Has Andy falling out of the boat and the saw with the like whatever? Has it all been an act?
If it is, he's a really good actor.
He deserves an Oscar.
No, it's not an act. It's not an act. I like it's just so it's like you couldn't make it up. You know what I mean? You couldn't make it up. And
him not finding any money?
Oh my God, the money.
How? He walked past so many obvious ones. How is that possible?
That was horrible. Okay, wait. We have somebody who has on the ground experience. How is it to find those tubes? Is it easy? Is it hard? Is it in between?
In my experience, I don't think it's that hard. I don't think it's that hard. You saw Bruce find one off season, and I called Bruce during the episode last night, and I was just like, yo, dude, you're wrecking. It's done. He had one, and he had zero. Like, that was rough to watch for him. What I could see being a possibility, I don't think so, but like there's like maybe a 3% chance. Did Andy just say I'm not going to find any and keep my vote? Like, was it like that? I don't think that happened, but they're not hard to find. They're not. They got a purple rope on this too. Like ours was orange. It might blend. Theirs is bright purple.
Yeah.
Come on.
Yeah.
I could see it getting to a certain point where he goes back and he sees that everybody has a lot and he's like, there cannot be that many left. And I can see him going, I would rather have none than only have one. Because isn't that what Bruce had? And he
and Bruce lost his vote. Yep.
So I could see it being an accident for the majority of the time, and then it getting past a certain point and him going, you know what? I would rather have my vote. I'm just not going to even try. And the last like 20 minutes of the search, he just kind of takes his foot off the gas. I could also see him just not finding any at all. Like I could see it both ways, but
to Bruce's credit, Bruce will always say that he took his foot off the gas. So, I'm never going to go hard in a reward challenge. I don't care. Blah, 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 blah. It's not a real immunity. Da, 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 da. Ended up losing his vote and things happened because of that. But to be fair to Bruce, he says he wasn't trying.
Well, so Kyler commented saying, I honestly understand that level of panic. That would 100% be me. I could also see that, just kind of like panicking and being like, what do I do? Where do I go? And then not like being able to get your brain in the right sense and just kind of tumbling down a hill. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I could see that.
I mean, we've seen Andy spiral. Like we know Andy can spiral into, unfortunately, his own detriment. Like you wish he just had he just needs like one like really good ally who can just be like a lightning rod for his anxiety, and it would be so beautiful to see. And maybe it'll be Genevieve at some point. Like we don't know, but like I'd love to see that for him.
Yeah,
I agree. I do want to talk about the auction as a whole. So, Cara, I'll start with you. I have a question as a viewer, right? We've never played the auction. We've never done the auction. As a viewer, how did you expect there to be not a single change from the auction in 45, or did you expect something different? How did you feel about this episode's auction?
I'm not surprised that it was the same, but I was kind of expecting maybe like a different twist. Well, I guess they did throw in like a few little twists.
Yeah.
With the money and
yeah.
So yeah, I guess I don't know. I enjoyed it. There was like some bidding wars, which was nice to see, and I liked the little twists that they added in. Yeah. I guess I don't know. I guess I don't know. Did I expect it to be the same? Yes, but I was hoping they would switch it up a little bit, and they did. So I'm satisfied.
Jake, how was it watching it for the first time?
It was so nice to not know. Like, I don't know. Like when you watch, it's funny because like when you watch yourself on the show, you're like looking, like you remember. So it's like you're looking for like, oh, what's the thing? Oh, are they going to show this little thing that happens next? But I gotta be honest, I had so much fun watching that last night, not knowing what was going to get uncovered, not knowing what was going to be good, not knowing what was going to be bad, sitting next to my buddy and being like, oh, this absolutely it's going to be garbage. And then a margarita comes out or like whatever it is. You know what I mean? I thought they would have switched up the rules. I like the cash back thing. Like that's kind of an interesting idea. They did a couple little eating the grubs for like, hey, challenge. Great. Love that. Let's do it.
So good. So good.
But I thought because Jeff asked us after they did the auction, they're like, how could we do this better? And like, you know, a lot of people are like, everyone just throws their money down to keep their vote and you just dump it all. But that didn't bother me at all. I didn't really think about it. The only time I really thought about, oh, yeah, people just drop their money is like what people are complaining about on Twitter. But I like it. I think it's working right now. I think you probably do it one or two more times until you really got to like, all right, maybe we got to figure out a different formula. But Jeff with the head thing, like you are like, he's going to give himself whiplash.
Good.
It's so funny. It's so funny. You know, he's reveling in it. And it's so fun to watch him do that.
Pretty impressive also because like it's like rubbing your stomach and patting your head. I am impressed that he can do that because I would definitely look up and go, and it is not it is the final one or whatever. You know, I would like really screw up on that. And but that's why he's the professional. That's why he's the host. And not
I guess maybe like what they could do is maybe say like you can't bet all or you can't bet all your money on something or put all your money down. Like you have to go in increments and maybe that would switch it up somehow. I don't know if that would make a difference.
Jake, I am one of the people who complain, not on Twitter. I don't type on Twitter. I only yap on the internet. I only talk. But I just truly think that they didn't need to do both changes. But even before the auction was brought back, I always said the way to fix the auction is just have it be an auction. Don't have any advantages. Don't say there are going to be any advantages. Be like, they're not going to be any, you know, and just kind of make the slate clean and just kind of go back to how it was in the beginning and it just be very straightforward. I am okay with a change. So I think hunting for the money is super interesting. Yep. I think that's like a cool thing. I'm totally fine with that. I don't think you needed the like hunting for money and also the person with the least amount of money loses their vote. I think it could have been either hunt for money or give everyone $500 and say the person with the least amount of money loses their vote at the end, but you're all starting with the same amount. So it's not like it's going to be, no one can bet $500 because everyone has $500. So I just think that once it gets to the point where it's not guaranteed to have another one, I'm just like, all right, who's going to get this next thing? And I can look at the board and see who's it going to be. And it's not as, you know, interesting. I'm not sitting on the edge of my seat. You know what I mean? But,
I do think like the running through the jungle absolutely has to stay. Like, I think that is a lot of fun in like both times that has produced great results. In terms of the losing your vote, like the auction's fun. I don't think you need like the stakes to it, right? Like you're already gonna have an immunity challenge, like after the commercial break or whatever. You don't like watching it as a viewer. I was like, oh, I didn't have an issue with it, but I do think that like you could get rid of the losing your vote thing, and everyone would still have a great time. I don't think it adds anything.
Yeah,
I don't think it.
And then to lose a vote and then have two people safe from immunity, I feel like it's just like a lot happening.
That is true.
One episode, yeah.
Were there two people safe? Your season, Jake, during
no, it was just Bruce got immunity that episode. We were like holding on to a pole so it didn't break apart or something.
Yeah. I think, you know, but I will say I loved the grubs. I loved the like money back. I thought that was fun. I really, there were a lot in there that I really liked. And I just love the auction. So I'm just happy we have it. And can I just say, I said this on the pre-show too. Everyone, when there wasn't going to be the auction in season 46, everybody was like, I can't believe they already got rid of it. I can't. And I was like, hey guys, they got to bring the auction back. I was like, they brought the auction back. Just because they don't do it every single season does not mean it's gone forever. And I would like to say vindication. as always.
I think it's great. Don't do it every season. Like if they do it every season, it's going to get old. You know what I mean? It's going to get old really fast. Yeah. Do it every other season. Say, hey, we're going to do it once a cycle. We're either going to do it on the even season or on the odd season. Yep. You might have a season or two that you don't see the auction. You might have 2 seasons back to back that has the auction. I think that's the way to do it personally.
I totally agree. It's how they used to do it.
Yeah.
And it's wonderful. Now, while we're still talking about the auction, I would like to bring up have we heard of this new curse?
Yes.
The okay, so the people watching and listening out there we have this new curse that is the margarita curse. It has now happened 4 or 5 of the last people who got the margarita at the auction were voted out that episode.
So now they just need to hide an idol in the margarita.
It was 4. It was Philippines. It was 30. What's her name?
Jen. Was it Jen?
One was Jeff.
Young girl.
No, I know it's Jeffrey and Cagayan. You got Kelly and Sierra. Who's the third? Who's the fourth that got a margarita and went home?
No, it was she's the little young girl.
Another blonde girl.
And they could have cookies.
Angie? No. Angie didn't go that deep.
It wasn't her. There was another person.
It was Philippines, though?
It was Philippines. So I'm pretty sure it was 4 because it was definitely.
It was 4. It was 4.
It was a regular margarita cup.
I can picture her in my head, but I can't.
Me too. I can't.
Yeah.
So it's just like this is a new curse. We now have the car curse. We've got car curse, which is never going to come back, but it's still a curse. And now the margarita curse, and also the fact that the 2 nurses.
Yeah.
Kelly's a nurse. Sierra's a nurse.
Yeah.
Crazy stuff. Crazy. I guess.
We're gonna find out Jeff was a nurse.
Oh my God, right? We have Kyler says it's worth the gamble. Is the margarita worth the gamble?
No. I feel like that's the last thing I would want out there, a margarita. After not eating.
I want alcohol.
I don't know if that's the last.
Maybe not the last, but there's worse things, I guess.
To be fair, I crushed a bottle of wine on day 25 or something. Day 24, day 25.
Doesn't your stomach
hurt? Yes, it does.
Kelly tweeted saying that the margarita wasn't that strong, so she didn't feel it a ton.
Oh.
But can I say hot take? I think the best one this episode was the first one. What Saul got, the potatoes and the soda. Mm-hmm. That is what I think I would be craving if I was out there. Ice. I want to crunch. Yes. That's what I want.
Yeah.
I would put every dollar I had on that.
Me too.
I'm like trying to think, dude, I was jealous. Kyle's buffalo wings looked really good. I felt bad for him. It was like painting him, and I'm like, oh, buddy. I love Kyle so much.
Felt so bad.
It looked really good.
I don't see. Here's the thing. If I was in Kyle's position, so Jake, I don't know if you know this. I've never had meat before. I'm a vegetarian.
Okay.
If I'm in Kyle's position, I don't know that I'm going to eat it because just imagine it's not even. It's probably because of like I just don't know. I've never had it before. Like I don't know how it would feel afterwards. But also, I don't know that my stomach could handle that. And not only like I don't have the enzymes for meat. Like not only would I have not eaten anything, my body would not be able to break down the chicken also. Like it would be, I think it'd be a bad scene.
Dude, I mean, what we had, Kendra had chicken the day she went home.
Oh, well, at least she went 45. Home.
Yeah. Well, no. And sorry, real quick note, because I was on the wiki. It was Jen Brown. In Philippines, Penner went home that episode. Jen Brown got the margarita, went home in 30.
Okay. So then it is 3, not 4.
Oh.
No, it's 4.
No, it's 4.
Sierra Kelly, Chepra, Jen.
Yeah. Look at that. That's crazy.
We got to look at all the margaritas in Survivor history and figure this out.
That's so funny. I just really want to say, like, to the 90 producers that are watching this right now, we love the auction. Great job. Even when we're complaining about the auction, we're still happy.
Yes.
I want to put that on the table. Like, we love the auction. Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Now, after the auction, Sam loses his vote. Sad. R.I.P. Sam. I mean, he's still there, but sad doesn't have his vote. And we let's talk about the immunity challenge, right? We have a man and a woman can win the necklace. If you're Kyle, Jake, I'll ask you this. Do you let Andy win? Or do you go ahead and win 3 times in a row?
It depends, like, how confident Kyle knew about, like, hey, who was going to go home that night. Like, did the conversations already happen with Andy? Like, do we already kind of know there was going to be some kind of split between Rachel Sam, Sierra? Yeah, I think if you're Kyle, like, just I don't think Kyle's viewed, like, if Kyle kind of, like, just tanked it, I don't think Kyle's viewed in that way that, like, he's a huge strategic threat. Like, why, like, let Andy win one, let Saul win one, or let one of the, in terms of just being the men on that side of it. But you might, but it's hard saying he should throw it strategically and actually being out there and saying, I'm going to throw, is two wildly different things. Like, I think it would be really difficult to not put everything in and be like, foot off the gas. Like, it would just be very against character, I think, for a lot of people who get cast on the show.
Yeah.
We had Franny on here a couple of weeks ago,
Mm-hmm.
And I remember when she won that challenge. It was the Ron Clark, event in Atlanta, and both Matt and Franny were there. And I talked to her afterwards, and I was like, did it cross your mind to throw it? And she was like, I honestly didn't even think about it in the moment. I'm in it. You're in the, everyone out there on Survivor are competitors. It's so hard, especially in the individual game, to be like, okay, I'm just going to stop. Like, it's, you just don't have that same kind of mindset. And so while I do think Andy's going to have Kyle's going to have a rough time, because I think Kyle's the next to go. If he doesn't win immunity, I think people are going to be like, all right, he's won literally 3 times in a row. He's worn that necklace every single time he's been at Tribal Council. Is he the most strategic, like the biggest strategic threat? Probably not. But I feel like 3 times in a row is a lot. And I worry.
Yeah.
Yeah, I definitely see that. The only reason why I disagree with you is because I do think Lavo's going to be in control. And I feel like we've seen a couple scenes of Saul and Kyle getting close. I think Gabe's name has come up a couple times. And I like, Kyle's not going to be good at everything. Like, what I think the record in New Era for immunities is 3. Kyle's hit that. He'll probably, I would not be shocked if Kyle surpasses it and gets another one. I think if Kyle loses immunity next episode, I think he's going to be okay if he wins immunity next episode, barring any idle play or some like kind of advantage.
Yeah, I agree. I think there's bigger fish to fry than Kyle, and I don't know. And I think he like definitely should have gone for the 3rd immunity. Like, at that point, why not? Like, you might as well just win. Like,
but I think he's looking for a home too. Like, he's looking for a home. Like, we know that, like, he's not completely, like, had Caroline not been so steadfast about saying, hey, we're going to take out Tiana, we're not touching Gabe, Kyle had no problem. I don't think Kyle had an issue taking out Gabe if, like, he was able to do it, right? That was at least my impression based off everything.
Yeah. For sure.
I think Kyle's looking for a home, or could be looking for a home a little bit. I may be reading it wrong. Yeah.
Yeah, and I totally forgot. We did see Kyle and Saul kind of hit it off a little bit. Kyle's not like the same age as Saul, but he's in his like 30s, right?
I think he's like early 30s.
Yeah. So I think there's also like this kind of, well, I mean, there's like a 10-year age gap, but as somebody who's like, I'm basically 30, a lot of my friends are like 40, 45, you just have that kind of like
31.
Oh, he's 31.
Mm-hmm.
My radar for age is really bad. If you hear me ever in the future talk about anybody's age ever, take it with a grain of salt. Let me just tell you.
Add 10 years to it.
Teg, how old is Sue? Teg, do you know how old Sue is? What's Sue's age?
27? I don't know. Like,
I think you clocked it.
Just so that you get what I'm saying. How long ago was this? I was talking about how I thought Rome. I was like, oh, yeah, it was with Franny. It was the episode with Franny. And I was saying how Rome was 23 years old. That man's 31. And I'm just like, Kyle was like 40. Like, I am all over the map.
To be fair, I thought Rome was like 24, 25.
He's just so youthful.
He is.
He's got that
way
energy.
more
He's got
energy than I
energy.
have.
Yeah.
I it's very impressive. But okay, so Kyle is my age. So good to know. But I just think that like I could see this like Kyle and Saul like thing actually happen and like move forward. So I think you guys have swayed me. I was really like, wow, Kyle is done. But I think you've swayed me that I think he's probably going to be safer a little bit longer than expected. I could see though if he doesn't win like later down the line, like if he keeps winning or whatever and he doesn't win later down the line, they'll be like, okay, now it's time to cut it off. But also, even though, like, do you see Kyle getting any votes?
As of right now, no.
Because obviously there's so much more game to play.
Yeah.
But let's just say he wins every single immunity and he goes to the end. I really don't see somebody sitting there and being like, I won every single immunity. I should have I don't see New Era voting for somebody just because they won a lot of immunities.
Because he's not like doing anything with the immunity that he's winning. Like he's not like bettering his position in case he doesn't win next time. He's not like leveraging anything with it. He's just winning and then going along with the vote.
Yeah.
If he was like winning, but also doing something else with it, I feel like could be better in the end for him to make a better case, if that makes sense.
I'll throw out some pro Kyle propaganda. I think what if Kyle is getting a Gabler edit? And here's why. Here's why. A couple reasons. Kyle, nice guy. Definitely not the loudest person on that island, right? Kyle also could probably get a lot of credit for getting the mergatory / whatever the hell happened this season, whatever it was called, boot out. I think there's some similarities. I don't know. I don't think Kyle's entirely drawing dead.
Very interesting.
Very pro Kyle over here.
I could totally see that.
Okay.
Because I mean, truly, that Rome boot was pretty much because Rome was going against Kyle. I had not thought about that.
Yeah.
Wow.
I mean, to be fair, that's just like it's a brief comparison. I think Rome was there was a couple things going against Rome. Some of that may a lot have been Rome, but Kyle had some choice words about it.
I don't hate that comparison. I don't hate that comparison at all. Because it's actually funny that you bring up Gabler because I actually said in the pre-show that I think that if Andy makes a move in this episode or at this moment, we could see him then go under the radar and go along with votes for a while, do the Gabler thing, and then pop back up and say, Sierra is gone because of me. But I didn't, and then he just didn't like do it in the middle. So, because I don't think that's a bad strategy. I'm not going to lie. I do not think that's a bad strategy at all. Kenzie kind of did it too. Kenzie had a really good, did a lot of stuff pre-merge, had a lot. She and the other purple people, I can't remember what their tribe was called. Yanu.
Yeah.
Oh, wow. Pulled that out.
Great job.
Nowhere. They controlled the vote in the center, and then she was in the middle, and then she was like, you know what? I'm not going to do much. And then she went and won the whole thing. So I think I definitely think it's a good strategy to have, the Gabler strategy, a la Gabler.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, we call this Andy Gator.
Andy Gator. I like it.
Andy Gator.
It's so good. It's so good. I could see it, but I'm now very interested in the Kyle of it all.
Yeah. Would I put money on Kyle to win? No, probably not. But I do think that there's something to be said about Kyle's not a zero out there. Like I think some people are, oh, Kyle's, just Kyle. I think that's a really dangerous outlook to have on someone like in terms of like if you're playing.
Yeah. Yeah. And I also want to say shout out Sue also won the immunity for the women. I don't think Sue was going to be up anyway. So I don't think it was really going to be like her this episode at all. But like Sue won, oldest woman out there, won the necklace. That is there's something to say about there's something, that's impressive.
Did I hear that she was the oldest woman to ever win immunity in the history of the show, period?
Really?
Yes.
I might be wrong about that, but I think
I saw that too.
Yeah.
That's really, really cool. Wow.
That's huge.
45?
45.
That's really impressive. That's really cool. How do we feel while we're still talking about the challenge, but how do we feel about when they give out two immunities, one to women and one to women? Do we feel neutral about it? Are we happy about it, down about it? I don't really care, truly. Like, it doesn't, I don't really think one way, but I've seen some people on the internet not like it, like not like when they give out two immunities. And I think that's a very interesting take to have.
I've never really thought. Sorry, Cara.
Yeah, no, you go ahead.
I was I've never really thought about it. You know what I mean? It's here's the thing: every Survivor challenge is going to be built to a different body type, right? It's they're going to be some tip doesn't always happen, but telephone pole typically better for a smaller frame, right? So you see a lot of women win that 2-1 in my season, but I don't care. I don't think it's an issue. If people actually have an issue with it, come on now. I think it's dumb. If you're gonna do it, definitely do it early while there's still how many people are left in the game? 11 or 12? 11. Do it while there's a lot of people left. Yeah. But I don't think it's bad. Let more people. Here's why I think it's okay. It's because you know what, you go on Survivor, you want to win an immunity. You hand out more necklaces, more opportunity for immunity. I think that's, and it's not so overbearing. I don't mind it.
Yeah.
I don't. I've never even thought about it.
I just thought it was a very interesting line to draw. And I was like, I literally have never thought about this. But you know what? Hey, we all have our opinions and we all stand by them. So, it's very interesting. Let's go into the strategy of the vote. So we know that Sierra ended up going out. It was a split. And this was interesting. And I'm very happy we're seeing this come back into play. It was a split because the only two people on that island that knew that Sam's idol did not work anymore were Sam and Sierra. Rachel never knew that Sam had an idol that was good only for one tribal council. All Rachel knew was that he had an idol. And so the fact that he didn't use the idol at the tribal council where Annika went home, Rachel still thinks that he has an idol. So everybody on the island thought that he had a fully fledged idol. And I mean, this is just my what I observed. So I could be wrong, but I think that's why they split the votes, because they thought that his idol still works.
Right, but if they thought he had an idol that still worked, why wouldn't they just take Sam out on the revote? Ooh, wouldn't that be ludicrous to not take Sam out if you think that he may be sitting on an idol?
Is that how dangerous they thought they think Sierra is?
Wait, was that talked about in the episode that Sam has an idol?
So he doesn't. No, he doesn't have an idol.
No, I know he doesn't have an idol, but was it talked about that people assume that he has?
So he back on later in the the episode when he didn't play, the episode after he didn't play it. Yes. He held it up and he went I'm excited to use this, and I can use it for a fake. I can give it to somebody, or I can use it for myself. And I could be wrong, but I was under the impression that Rachel only knew that he had an idol. Okay. She does not know, because he opened up the thing that said it was good for one tribal council when he was with Sierra. He didn't open up when he was with anybody else. Mm-hmm. And he looked for it with Rachel, but he didn't open it up with Sierra. So this could be just me totally putting my own opinion onto the situation. But my understanding was Rachel thinks that this idol could still have power, or he has a fake thing to tell people that he has an idol. And so it is maybe, because I don't think I actually heard them talk about the idol that much in the episode or at all.
I don't know if they mentioned it.
Okay, maybe I'm making all this up.
Yeah, maybe. I think the only reason why I'm kind of maybe Gabe would have cleared it up, or either Genevieve being look, Rome had this or whatever, because Rome told Genevieve.
But there could be a world in which he kept doing the steps. Right.
I will say though, if they thought that Sam might add an idol and then still voted out Sierra on a revote,
that's crazy.
Dude, what was Sierra doing? Oh my God. Mad props.
Yeah.
Someone's sitting on an idol and they're voting you out?
Who drove
Wow.
that vote? Was that Andy driving that Sierra versus Sam? Or who do you think was the one who really was like, okay, guys, we got to go for Sierra? Because I don't remember them explicitly saying who was the one who wanted Sierra.
I think I would imagine it was probably Andy. I think if someone's breaking off and coming in, it's kind of like, you know, when like Couture was leaving Bello and then she goes back, it's like, hey, number one, I want to do Bruce. I feel like we want to get someone out from there. Hey, we want to make you feel comfortable. What do you want to do? I feel like, yeah, they all have their opinion. I'd rather go after this person, rather go after that person. I do feel like there's probably a little more credit to Andy.
Yeah.
Yeah. Go ahead.
You know what's interesting? So, like, I'm looking at who voted for who. And so, like, we saw, like, Andy and Soul talk, and he was like, you know, I expect, like, you to do exactly what I expect to happen in the next few votes or whatever. But it's interesting how Soul voted for Sam and Andy voted for Sierra. Like, so it must have been, like, that they planned who was going where, right? Like,
yeah, it must have been.
Yeah,
that's interesting.
I'm very excited for the next episode to actually like kind of see like why they did
who voted where.
You know, like, because I mean, maybe I am just completely, and I am wrong a lot. Let me just say, I'm a yapper who can be, and I just kind of assumed that Rachel never knew what that idol was. So I'm interested because now I haven't thought about that. Like, why would they put it on Sierra? I guess she's just very dangerous.
Yeah. I feel like now's a good time for him to bring out the fake idol after that. So I guess we'll find out if he does.
Okay. Sorry. This is kind of a shift, but this is something I really do want to talk about. Okay. Before we, you know, continue on into questions and stuff. I want to talk about Rachel. And I want to talk about Rachel's I mean, absolutely brilliant move with the shot and playing the shot in the dark. I did not understand why she did it at first. And then I posted my little like thoughts on TikTok and people were like, no, what Rachel did was incredible. And I read them and I was like, oh my God, I'm an idiot. I understand now. And now I'm obsessed with it. So Jake, how did you feel about Rachel playing the shot in the dark to potentially gauge what people were, you know, thinking and then maybe play your idol after that?
Oh my God, I love it. Rachel is absolutely killing it. Sorry if my screen's glitching out. I don't know what is going on, but Rachel is absolutely killing it. I was really excited. I was kind of like at first, like, oh, that's kind of weird. She must have known they were coming after Gata, and then she can hold on to the idol, see what she wants to do, see the reaction. But then, like, thinking more and more and more about it, it's like, damn, that was really good.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
Mm-hmm.
It was really smart. And I also like, it's my big thing. And listening to Sierra's like exit press, Rachel and Sierra both said how they felt they felt uneasy, right? So it wasn't just Rachel playing it to play it because she wanted to play it. She also felt uneasy. And so not only on the surface level, was it just her gauging how people reacted to her shot in the dark, but it was also like she now no longer, and then she could play her idol, right? But then she now no longer has a shot in the dark. So there could be a world, I've been thinking about this, there could be a world she doesn't have a shot in the dark. One of the big reasons to blindside somebody, other than them potentially having an idol, is because every single person has a shot in the dark. And even though it's a 1 in 6 chance, it is still a 1 in 6 chance. It's happened before. It'll happen again at some point. And so the fact that like she no longer has a shot in the dark, people are still going to want to blindside her, but it's not going to be, especially since nobody knows she has the idol, she might be able to pick up on the cues a little bit more because maybe people are going to get sloppy. And so I think it's just like the fact that she has this idol and people now know that she doesn't have a shot in the dark anymore. I just think that it's even better for her game in the long run to actually be able to play the idol properly. I'm stoked about it. That's my soliloquy about Rachel and her shot in the dark play, but I think it's genius.
Yeah, it really was. It really was just a smart thing, like smart move, smart thing to think of to do in that moment. Because like I mean, I guess like she wasn't really at risk, but like her name was out there. Like she could have gotten votes, and it would have either way. It would have been a good play for her at this time. So
yeah,
it was
And I also just think like I've always loved the shot in the dark as a twist, just because I think it's an interesting twist, and I think it's a really, really good addition to the game. Say what you will about the new era. There are some people who do not like it. Some people call it like, yeah, whatever. They don't like it. But I think it's one of the best additions to the game, because I think being able to I think it gives us really great episodes. It's sad when people are blindsided, but people like that. You know what I mean? But it is interesting, and it is compelling. And then we've seen people use it as a bargaining chip. We've seen people like John saying how in his exit press, like he felt like it was a 1 in 6 chance to use a shot in the dark. And it's also a 1 in 6 chance of him actually flipping the vote. So it was just like, it's interesting to see how people approach this twist. And I'm really happy that they were able to bring something like this into the game. And I'm a shot in the dark stan.
I agree. I think it's a great twist. I love that they've kept it. It was one of those ones in like 41, 42 that I thought they were going to switch up and not do like after a certain amount of time, but I'm happy that they've kept it. I think like I know the blind sides are kind of forced, but it's like, you don't want to see, I know it happened. Like there's been a couple Big Brother seasons where everyone's like, let's just tell the person right before they go. And then you miss the huge reaction. And like, like you're going to suffer a little bit if you go on one of these shows. Sorry, deal with it.
Exactly. I think it's great. It's great. Interesting. We have an interesting take here in the comments. Bring back the fire tokens whenever they play. But I also, can I just say, I didn't hate the fire tokens. I hated that they brought it in that season. I didn't think that was necessary in 40. But like, I don't hate having a separate currency in the game, because sometimes the shot in the dark is kind of a currency.
Yeah.
I agree.
I didn't hate the fire tokens, but that's just me. I just think that like this was a good episode. I felt so bad for Sierra. Interesting though that we saw this weird vote where Sierra got to re-vote first time that she got to.
Yeah.
That was weird.
That was weird. Jake, I feel like did you care about that? Did you notice it?
I didn't like it's weird, right? Because like the thing that everyone brings up is like, oh, like it makes sense, right? It makes sense. Oh, you can only vote for each other, therefore you can't vote, right? But we've had instances of 3-way ties that, if two people in the tie are like, hey, let's put both of our votes on that person. I hope the rules are just changed. Yeah. Because I kind of like that situation. I think if there's a 3-way tie, that's really interesting. Are two people going to gang up on one person? Is it a circular firing squad? Like, I really like it, and I hope it stays for. I like it in theory. People are like, oh, it's different. As long as Jeff keeps it for a 3-way tie, I'm okay with it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I actually didn't even think about the 3-way tie. I think that's a great point. And I'm also like, who cares? If they vote for the other person, I don't really care. It adds a couple seconds to the episode, but it doesn't even bother me if we keep it in for a 2-way tie. But I thought it was interesting, and I thought it was sad that she was the only one to vote for Sam. But on the revote, I felt really bad for her because, again, this season we're seeing it over and over again. Blindside after blindside, these people are taking it really personally. And it's a personal game. I get why they're doing that. But like, we have every single person except for Rome, really, this season has left upset. And Sierra was not an exception. And I was heartbroken for her. She played an incredible game. Ryan was certain that Sierra was winning. Ryan was like, that woman is winning Survivor. He was certain. But I just felt so bad for her leaving. It was just so hard to watch. They always are. They're so hard to watch.
It was. And like, do we think Sierra should have went over Sam at this point? Like, why do I feel like Sam is a bigger target? Maybe she is maybe we're not seeing everything Sierra does. I don't know.
It's been a quiet edit for her. Like she's had some like really good moments though. Like one of my favorite moments from the season was that point in that challenge where they got the chickens and like Jeff starts explaining the challenge and the challenge instructions cut out because the chicken's biting Sierra. I think that's never happened before. I loved it. I thought it was a funny moment.
Yeah. This is an interesting thing. I'm not saying that the people are sexist on the season. I'm not saying that. But I do think it's interesting, and we see this over and over again. When we see a power couple, whether they are together, like whether they're like actually like interested in each other or not, if it's a man and a woman, so many times the woman is voted out. And like I'm thinking about like Dean and Chelsea, or that's the only couple I can think of right now. An exception would be Matt and Franny, but Franny was immune. But we see every single time the women goes out, and I think it's because women are seen as a more social threat in the game rather than a physical threat. Because you see Sam, you see his physicality, and you see how he could be a threat. But when it's Sierra, you don't see the threat with your own eyes. It's a threat because of her social game. And I think that's typically why women go out in these situations. But you see it happen so many times, and this was not an exception, which is interesting.
And like you see, like I guess like people know like Sam's a threat, but like so they want to take out the person closest to Sam to weaken him a little bit, and then that's Sierra.
Yeah, exactly. But I can't wait for next episode to hear why they chose Sierra over Sam. I'm gonna need to hear that from straight from the horse's mouth. But I really think it's gonna be interesting to hear, why they did that. Why they made that choice. But I will say, I love this episode. It was a much needed episode. I think this season overall, again and again, is just a fun season. We're just seeing blind sides and crazy moments and really fun characters. And I think episode 8 was not an exception. I thought it was a really great episode. Before we go to our commercial and get into our questions and all of that good stuff, was there anything that either of you want to talk about that we didn't hit?
No, I think it was a great episode. I really liked it. I'm loving this season. Yeah. I think this season is I think something really worked with 45 and 46, and I'm really pleased that the show has found a way to keep it going.
Yeah.
Yeah. I agree. Great episode. The season's been great so far.
So. Absolutely. Well, we're about to get into our questions portion of the episode. So if you have any questions that you haven't put in the comments, make sure to do that. And we will be right back after this quick commercial break.
Hi, Survivor Now podcast listeners. I am Katie from KT Designs, better known as Katie Tedesco Art on both Instagram and Etsy. I have been designing and selling Survivor products for over 7 years at my Etsy shop, including replicas like hidden immunity idols and Survivor trading cards with all of the players' stats on the back. I am so grateful for Survivor Now for giving me this shout out and helping me reach even more superfans. I love listening to their podcast. So if you are looking for some really unique reality TV products for yourself or to give a superfan in your life, come check out my Etsy shop at www.etsy.com/shop/KatieTedescoArt.com.
All right, it is time for the social hour. That is right. We came up with it first. Survivor. Suck it. Okay.
Right.
We had a couple of questions sent in, but I do have some other comments that I think aren't necessarily questions, but something that I want to talk about. But let's get to this question that Ollie sent in. This is specifically to Jake, but I think Kara and I could also answer this. Are there any challenges this season that you wish you got to do on season 45, Jake?
On this season, I was so ready to say Last Gasp. I really wish we did that. But this season that I really would like to do, I mean, maybe like the holding the pole above the head, like from last episode, like where they got the statue on the end. That might be cool, but also I'm like, endurance challenges are not what I like to do. Oh, you know what? Actually, no, I do know this. I thought it was actually really cool, the finish. I think it was the episode where Annika went home and they got to do the like knock down the puzzle and then get back. I like that. I like that challenge. I wish I did that.
Yeah. Cara, do you have any challenges that like stood out to you this season so far?
I like can't think of a single challenge.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
I
feel bad because now the guy who makes the challenges went to the beach drop in Brooklyn. I didn't meet him, but I've seen a video of him and I now have a face. I now know what his face is like, and now I feel bad when I talk badly about the challenges, but I notoriously do not like the challenges. And none of these challenges I find super compelling. Give me a challenge where you ask me questions about things that have happened this season, or give me a story that I have to remember, or let me coconut chop it, baby. But
yeah. Oh, coconut chop would be so good.
I know.
They need to bring that back.
I know.
I will say to Kerhoff's credit, I thought the opening challenge was really cool. Where they ran through the jungle and they ran back.
I do.
That was really that was cool.
He does that for opening like the opening first episode usually, and I do love when it's a multiple part one. Yep. I think that is all when it's like a tribe they should definitely do more of, because I think it's a lot more interesting than just kind of seeing it all in one place. It gives it a little bit more. It's a little more dynamic, at least for the viewer personally. But yeah, let's broaden the question. What's the challenge that you would like to do? Any challenge?
Last gasp.
Interesting.
I grew up next to the water. I love the water. I would really just like to see how I could do on it. I think I would do it personally.
Okay. Yeah. Carol, what's a challenge, of any challenge you would like to do?
I would want to do the pole one where like the one where you like wrap yourself around the pole, the one that Dee and Kelly won. I would want to try that one.
I want to do a wrestling one.
Oh, no.
Bring it back. Sumo at sea?
Yeah. That's fun. That's funny. I think it's good. Bring back. I know I get why they maybe can't, but bring it back.
They could do sumo at sea. I get they can't do smurge and brawl, but like, I'm definitely not saying that word right. But you can do sumo at sea. Come on.
I know. Please. I think it's fun. I think it is an interesting thing, and I think it's not the same thing all like over and over again. It's not just, at least do it for a reward. Come on.
Yeah, like couldn't you did we miss out on Rome talking like mad shit and then just getting tossed off the thing? All due respect to Rome. But like amazing. I love Rome. But like, come on. Like it's great moments. It doesn't just need to be in blood versus water,
I know. It'd be so good. It'd be so good. I think there are some really good challenges that Survivor has done in the past that I just would really love to see brought back. I mean, notoriously, I love the coconut chop. I think the coconut chop is really great. Can I just say, to Survivor's credit, they brought back the thing that I've been wanting for a really long time, which is Schoolyard Pick. We didn't get to see it, but
yeah.
I mean, we saw it in like a secret scene, whatever, but like
we brought it back, but it's like it's back. You don't see it, but it's back. Like
trust me, it's back.
Like, why even say it's going to be a schoolyard pick if you're not going to show it?
And you're not even going to show the captains. Come on, you know what I mean?
For the first time, we're doing a schoolyard pick, and in a long time, and it's like, oh great, let's see it. Don't worry about it. But we did it.
At least say the captains and who picked who, like the order or something. If they're not going to show it.
Didn't they say Andy was picked last?
Yeah. Andy and Stu were picked last, but Andy was picked very last. Iconic. That's iconic, honestly. I will say, Kyler commented, I think the quest for fire should be the first challenge every season. I wouldn't mind. I don't know if it needs to be the exact same thing, but like I wouldn't mind something involving fire. That would be interesting.
Yeah.
I remember when they did it on Cambodia for the first challenge. Like, it was pretty exciting to see it.
Yeah.
Back. It was pretty exciting to see it back.
It's good. I think there's a lot of really good ways to have some really fun challenges. And I think that we haven't seen all of them, but I think we've seen some. And I think that they can, they're starting to bring back old things, because I think we're starting to get really loud. Like we're the fans are starting to get like, please give me this. And then they finally bring some stuff back. Yeah. Okay, this isn't a question, but this is something that I have seen a lot of on the internet, and I would love to talk about this with you guys. Nikki commented on Twitter. So Nikki said, this is a very big one. Please discuss the possible production rigging. Hot take, but rather fishy. Rachel got 2 advantages in a row. They gave an advantage to the other tribe that was guaranteed to go to the other team's losing player, which was obviously going to be Rachel. The auction prize guaranteed to go to Rachel because she had the most money. I kind of wanted to start this one off, but I would love to hear both of your thoughts. But like, I have said this thousands of times because I had to defend Angela from Big Brother on my TikTok because everyone was like, she's a plant. Rigging on these games is very difficult in terms of like actually giving people like advantages and stuff like that, because Jake, correct me if I'm wrong, there are lawyers, right? Or there's a law that you can't. And obviously there's going to be some kind of production interference, like people are interviewed and all of this stuff. But like there was a thing that happened back in the like 50s or whatever, where they literally were rigging it to make it so this one guy kept winning this game show. So there's this law that prevents any kind of, when there's money involved, there's a certain level that cannot be like crossed, and people will, say things or whatever. And I don't think that either of these things was anything being rigged, because it was a rock draw. This was not a schoolyard pick. This was nothing else. It was a rock draw to decide the 2 teams. It just so happened that Rachel was on the tribe and she was the only one from a different tribe, right? So that was just really bad luck on Rachel's part. There was no way that production wasn't going to give an advantage to the winning tribe. We've seen it before. Like we've seen Heidi had an advantage that was like similar idea to this. So I think that this was something that was going to happen. And of course they were going to send it to Rachel. It just seems obvious, but I don't think production was like, okay, here we go. Let's give this thing to Rachel. And then the fries thing, I don't really see that. I think that was probably just pre-planned and it happened to be Rachel, but Rachel still had to go get the idol herself. They didn't give her an idol, right? She still had to go saw it out and give it. So I just think that this whole kind of conversation isn't fruitful because of the things that were put in place. But I just think it's like people have been talking about this all over my TikTok, and I just don't think that's happening personally. But
yeah, I mean, like, did the thought cross my mind? Like, yes, but like I genuinely do think it was just like a fluke that she got the advantage, and then she just so happened to bid on the food item with the reward in it. So like, I think it was just a fluke. I don't think it was planned rigging or anything.
Yeah.
Yeah, I really don't.
But
I really don't think so. Because like a lot, like let's take the first one, right? Like a lot of things have to go a certain way. Like it was random for those teams, number one. Like, were they not going to do that if Rachel wasn't in trouble? No, they were always going to do that. And then with like the auction specifically, like, look, I think we look at these people, right? Like, let's look. I mean, Big Brother 14, right? They're going to give the returning players like 5 weeks of safety or whatever it was. Or like, you want to talk about Redemption Island, the casting, and like the other people that weren't Robin Russell had no idea what was going on. Like, they're not going to, is Rachel really like their sweetheart that they're going to like do this for? Not that Rachel hasn't been an amazing player and amazing TV, but like Rachel's not Russell Hantz. Rachel's not Boston Rob. Rachel's not Poverty Shallow. In terms of like, Rachel's a first-time player. You know what I mean? Like, it's not coming back as like, whoa, they're our selling point for the season. We really got to do, like, there's no incentive. Like, I think that's kind of, like, number one, there's no incentive for the show to do it. Number two, I don't think the show actually does that.
Yeah. And they had to have already, like, the challenge was set, right? They drew the rocks. They didn't know which side was going to win the challenge. They didn't know which side was going to lose the challenge. They probably already had everything set up for them to go back before the challenge was even over, which meant they already had the clue placed there. Yep. If anything, when I saw it, I went, wow, they really want Saul to get the advantage because it was right next to his head. Then I was like, well, duh, they're just going to put it somewhere and somebody who's going to happen to be next to it. And so I get why people are worried about things like this, but like, I think that is the biggest takeaway. And Jake, I think you're totally right. The biggest takeaway is Rachel the person that they're willing to take a giant fine for? I don't think so. Like,
that's not a knock against Rachel. I just want to make it really clear. I'm not knocking
if it's going to be anyone.
She's a first-time player.
Exactly. I don't think that they're going to do that for any kind of first-time player unless the first-time player is Beyonce. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Like, if they were going to do that, they do it for John Lovett. Like, if they were going to do it for anyone else, they were going to do it for John Lovett. John Lovett went home first. He was the only person in the ads leading up to this whole season.
Yeah.
John Lovett went home first. They're not rigging. Come on now.
Absolutely.
She just has good survivor luck. She's just
the survivor gods are with her.
Yeah.
You know, and that is so. I wanted to talk about that because I'm seeing so many comments about that, and I just I needed to discuss it. Okay, we have this other question, Jake. It's specifically for you. How is Nana doing?
I have new Nana now. I have new Nana.
New Nana?
I have new Nana here. Yeah.
Who's new Nana?
No, new Nana's my new Nana's my new roommate. No, but actual Nana's doing very well. Actual Nana's doing very well. She's doing really well. She's healthy. I moved out. This isn't Nana's house anymore. But she we live in a double decker. I have cousins who live right below her, and he just had twin babies. So I don't even think Nana knows I'm gone, but she's doing great.
That's good.
Yeah.
I know we had another question for Jake somewhere. Oh, okay. It was a typo. They said, if you played in 46 with Q, would you try hard and hide and seek? I think this is a very interesting question. Also, because would Q go after Sierra? This is going to be an addition that I want to add. If Q was on the season, would Q want to get Sierra out because she was so good at hide and seek?
Would see it. Dude, so, okay, would I go hide and seek? Yeah, I think I'm going to play. Like, would I went hide and seek? I don't think I went hide and seek. I'm not climbing up a tree, you know? Like, I mean, like, at least not as far as Hunter, right? Yeah. But, I would go hide because, like, I want to win, you know? So then the second question is, would Q go after Sierra? Is Sierra good at hide and seek, or do we have to guess, is Sierra good at hide and seek?
No. The addition to my thing was she wasn't good at hide and seek, but she was very good at finding those little things.
Mm-hmm.
So if Q is on there, if say Q's on the island, would Q go big mistake and be like, she can find idol, she's got to go?
Probably. Oh, sorry.
I mean, yeah, right. Like I don't know. Like I feel like Q's gonna have. I thought Q was amazing TV. I thought Q was awesome. But like, could you see Sierra got all the tubes? She knows how to find those tubes. She knows how to find idols. Or Andy, he didn't find any of these. If he can't find these tubes, I can't find him. Big mistake. Like whatever it was, I don't know. But I don't know. I don't know how Q's mind works. I don't know how Q's mind works, but I love hearing him explain how Q's mind works. And great TV.
Great TV. I think that if I was on Survivor, I would never once think, okay, we're playing hide and seek. Someone's going to be judging my ability to play the game of Survivor. That's just not how my brain works. Maybe that's why I haven't been cast on Survivor yet, but that's just not how my brain works.
I don't know, like, like, I think, like, you know, I'm going to make a Big Brother comment, but, like, Big Brother Dr. Will, hey, guys, like, let's all, like, do a fast. And then he's like, oh, the first person to drop out, they're clearly not strong. Like, yeah, you see people, like, it makes a good TV moment, but is it, like, that legit, like, big of an impact on the game? I don't know. Maybe not. I don't think so.
I don't know. I mean, if it's a big impact on one person, then I think it probably potentially could have a big impact on the game.
Sure,
one person could have a big impact on the game, but I don't know. Well, I thought those were some fun questions. Again, I always love when we get some really good things to kind of stir the pot, talk about some new things. So thank you for anyone who sent in questions, who asked questions in the comments. But it is time to get to one of my favorite moments of the episode, Cara's sweet thing of the episode. Cara, for new listeners, can you explain what a sweet thing is?
Yes. So I have a podcast with my cousin Kateri called the Sweet Things Podcast. And at the end of each episode, we give our sweet thing of the week, which is usually like a snack or a drink or just anything that we liked. And then for Survivor, it's different because there's not always food. We usually do like a moment or something that we liked and anything. But this is a good one because, you know, we had the auction. We had a lot of food going around today or in the episode. So, yeah, mine, I know we mentioned it, but mine really was the potato chips and the soda, because if I was to get that while I was on Survivor, I think I would be revived. Like that would bring me back to life after not eating for however many days or drinking anything. One sip of that soda would change the rest of my game.
I would win the game. I would be like, all right, y'all are going down. And that high would last me the entire time.
Mm-hmm.
Absolutely. Jake, do you have a sweet thing in the episode?
You know what surprised me? Even though we had the auction, it's not going to be food. It was like a small. Saul's my sweet thing in the episode. Saul complaining about what his original tribe not seeing Karate Kid was. I don't know. That made me laugh. That
was a good moment, especially because I've never seen Karate Kid.
Are you serious?
I'm serious.
Me either.
Guys,
well, I saw guys. With Jaden Smith.
Jaden Smith. Yeah, no.
I haven't seen Jaden Smith. I have not seen any of them. Ryan has been trying to get me to watch this and the Jaden Smith one, like the entire time we've been together. He's also been trying to get me to watch the Mighty Ducks, and we just watched the Mighty Ducks and the Mighty Ducks 2 this year, which was a big leap. We've been together for 6 years, and I still have yet. Every year he's like, we gotta watch the Karate Kid, and I just haven't done it. So do people just say like wax on, wax off, and you're like, oh yeah, like cool? I know the reference. I feel like it's in the zeitgeist or whatever. But yeah, I don't know.
guys, I'm not Saul. I didn't know this was a problem, dude. I didn't know this is a problem. Apparently, it's a problem. None of them?
No.
I
do. I feel like I know a little about because I watched How I Met Your Mother, and in How I Met Your Mother, Barney loves the bad guy.
William Zabka.
Yeah.
So I know that, but I feel like I'm gonna go. Ryan's gonna hear this, and he's gonna be like, "All right, it's on. We're watching it right now."
Yeah.
He's like, you just embarrassed yourself in front of at least 100 people. So you really gotta fix it. All right. Well, I'm sorry, Saul. Will you forgive me? Well, I would like to say my sweet thing of the episode, and I don't know if you guys can see a correlation here or whatever, a trajectory. What's the word? My sweet thing of the episode is going to be Andy turning into Clark Kent or Pretty Womaning it or whatever it's called. She's all that in it. That the glasses in the hair. It's also a moment, not a food. If Cara hadn't said the potatoes and the soda, though, it was going to be that.
I knew you were going to say the Andy thing.
The Andy thing was a great moment.
Yeah.
So predictable. I'm so predictable. I am nothing if not predictable. It's just if Survivor would stop giving us incredible Andy moments, I'll stop saying it. I swear.
They just keep providing the good Andy content.
Just keep providing. Okay, so we've now come to the last part of the episode where we get to award the social butterfly of the episode. All right, for those of you who are new to the podcast, I'll explain the social butterfly. The social butterfly is who we think is the person who has had the best social game this episode. So not overall, just this one episode. And I think this episode is a harder one for me because I feel like we saw a lot of strategy this episode and not a ton of just like purely social moments. But I think I'm going to give it to Saul.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
And I think it's because obviously he used his advantage to help Rachel, but like we're seeing him gain ground with Kyle. We're seeing him connect with Rachel like that. And I just think that we're seeing him build these bridges to other people. And I just really like what I'm seeing with how he is playing his social game. And he's someone who I think people might seem like they might look at him and think that he's unthreatened, not very threatening, when he is a beast, like, you know? And so I think that he did it. I think he had a good social game this episode. Jake, do you know who you want to award, or do you want Cara to go?
Yeah, I was between Saul and Andy, but I do think I want to give it to Saul just because like he had the moment with Rachel that he needed to do. He had the moment with Kyle. And we also saw Saul being one of the people that was talking to Andy, right?
Mm-hmm.
Am I making that up? Yeah. So I would give it to Saul. I'd give it to Saul.
Yeah.
Yeah, I agree. And we have to assume that probably a little bit of the reason that Rachel didn't get any votes there is because of Saul and him not wanting Rachel to go or be a target, really, because of the work he put in with her, with the advantage and everything. So I definitely think Saul.
I think that's a really good point because Genevieve did want to go for Rachel. She kept saying how she felt Rachel was such a threat. And so I think that, you know, there had to be somebody rooting for Rachel in Rachel's corner. And was it Andy? Was it somebody else? Or was it Saul? And I think you're probably right. It was probably Saul because we did see that connection. So I think it's a really good point. And I think that Saul is somebody who I always say I'm always down on poker players. And I'm really happy I was wrong about Saul because I think he's really very interesting and a great addition to the season. And loving Saul. Well, that's the end of our episode. Thank you so much for everybody hanging out, talking with us. I love, always having you amazing people in the chat. And Jake, thank you so much for chatting with us. It's always a pleasure to have you. I love hearing your insights. You're such an icon and a fun guy. And I will say, how does it feel that you pass along the baby girl, at it? You're no longer baby girl. It's Andy. How do you feel about that?
Andy, run with it, man. Run with it, man. I love it. I love it. No, thank you guys so much for having me. I love coming on here. This is a lot of fun.
Of course. And where can people find you, Jake, on social media or otherwise?
Like Instagram and Twitter. Jake O'Kane. It's like Jake _Jake Kane. I forget how I do it. I mean, I'll probably share it. I'll share it. You'll find it. Just go on there. Search my name. You'll find it.
Well, it was just such a blast to talk to you. And then Cara, as always, you're the best co-host around. Thank you so much for coming on here. Where can people find you? You have your podcast on Thursdays, right?
Yep, at Sweet Things Podcast. This was so much fun. Thank you, Jake, for coming on.
Absolutely.
And of course, Tegwyth. It's always fun.
We got a great lineup here. And I will say Survivor Now still some really fun episodes this week. We've got the Stock Watch tomorrow, Friday at noon. So make sure to tune in there. It's a really fun episode. And I love always to hear, their analysis of it all. They're so much smarter than me. And then we got the Got Something For You pod Saturday at 3 p.m. They're so much fun. They always do social media bits and all that stuff. And so make sure to check that out. As always, we're here on Wednesday nights and Thursday nights, and, we're talking about all Survivors. So thank you so much, everyone, for hanging out, listening, chatting with us. And, we will see you next week. Remember to stay social. Love you guys. Bye.